Meet Lionel Choong, a fitness entrepreneur reshaping what strength and wellness mean in Singapore. In 2014, he co-founded Innervate Fitness, a social enterprise gym built not for elite athletes but for everyone, from seniors and children to people with disabilities. Over the past decade, Lionel has pioneered inclusive programs like CrossFit Silvers and Adaptive CrossFit, proving that movement is for all ages and abilities. His work has transformed fitness from a personal pursuit into a tool for resilience, community, and human connection.
Fitness is, the textbook answer is work capacity across broad time and motor domains. It's very CrossFit thing. I do CrossFit primarily, and that's why I fall back to that a lot. But times have changed. And so to me, fitness is really about being able to express and live your life the best way that you can. So you have fitness as a tool and basically larger aspect of health, a larger capacity of health for you to live life the best way that you want to.
Right. And I think, based on what you shared, you mentioned this a lot of times as well, right? That it's all about quality of life.
Yeah.
Right. Whether you can get off a chair, whether you can walk a particular distance, whether you can squat and, even get off the floor and things like that. So what is actually, as someone who's been in this industry for so long, right? What is actually a common misconception that people often have about fitness? That you just I need to debunk this.
I need to be fit to start. I'm not fit enough for the gym lah. I need to start with my walks. I'm like, okay, I get it, but no, this you can come in. You have elderly who are way more frail than you. You can start.
You can do it, yeah.
And if they can start, you can. And so a lot of times, and usually when they say there are such things, to me, at the back of my head, it isn't so much of a misconception. It's a face thing. It's an ego thing.
Oh.
Yeah, they want to make sure when they step into a place that they
are
good enough. Which is, I guess, a misconception. You don't need to be good enough.
It's okay to fall.
It's okay to fall. It's okay to be the noob in the room. Everyone was there. Everyone at one point in time was there. And if you don't start somewhere, you will never get there.
Correct. I'm not ashamed to say it, but I've slided off a treadmill once because
sometimes it can be dark and we press too fast
and then it's okay. But I realized that a lot of people are embarrassed, they feel they need to be a certain way when they step into the gym.
No, that's why I'm very thankful for the communities we have at our spaces, because I think that usually the people they are there, they are so welcoming. They instantly, the first few things they say is, hey, it's going to be hard initially, but it's okay. Because everyone has been there.
Right.
So everyone knows how intimidating it is and how scary it is to start something new in a new environment. And so to be able to say that it's okay is very comforting.
Let's go, welcoming of them.
Yeah.
Right. And another thing that we always hear is that when we, be it fitness instructors or even online and all that, is the no pain, no gain thing. Right? If you don't feel the pain, if you're not sore, that means, or if you're not perspiring buckets, it means you didn't get a good workout in. What do you think about that?
No. I think there are a lot of people, the very negative side is that they take that to the extreme. They get hurt. I hurt myself. This is my battle scar. I hurt my shoulder. I worked so hard, right? I'm like, that's the absolute opposite of what you should have done. You should have taken it easy. Don't lift heavier than you think you can.
Right.
Be smart about things. And when that happens, then you are kept safe and you have a better quality of life. This is working against that ethos,
Right.
Yeah. And at the same time also, like what I said initially, that fitness has always to be about expressing your life, to be able to express that fitness in life, to be able to have a larger capacity of health. If you are no pain, no gain, and you're sweating buckets every single day, you're feeling defeated, smashed out, burnt out, I don't think you're living a very good life. I don't think you're very happy there to be able to express your fitness in other aspects of life.
Right.
And so, I don't think that's really right. But there are days where, yes, you want to push
yourself
a little bit. Not every day. It should not be a daily thing. It should be once a week, once, twice a week. Because yes, if you want to push the boundaries, you need to push a little bit to get fitter. Don't get me wrong. But it shouldn't be a daily affair where you're smashed up.
Right.
Yeah.
Know when to push the limits.
Yeah.
Listen to your body, basically.
A little bit. Or if you may, so sometimes I guess it's the privilege of being part of a gym and following a program. You can not think about it and just follow whatever that everyone is doing and like, okay, I'm supposed to do this. Yeah, I'm doing this.
So that's the good thing there, because it's sort of like mapped out for you and you follow that routine that's mapped out for you, because you do it with understanding of their needs as well, right? Be it the elders or be it the teens or even the adults as well, right? So what drew you, into fitness and into starting Innervate in 2014?
Okay. This is years ago. I think I was still in university. And we just finished NS, and me and my friends were like, okay, let's get fit. Let's do something different. And then one of my friends threw out this crazy regime called CrossFit. And I'm like, what is this? Social media wasn't a thing back then. There was no Instagram. There was just Facebook. And it was like, okay, let's try this thing called CrossFit. And I'm like, okay, this sounds crazy. I see videos of people flipping tires, working out. And to me, the gym has always been a very curated environment where you walk into a space, it's like machines, treadmill, dumbbells by the side.
Very intimidating.
Very well, I would say that when I walked into the first CrossFit gym, it was even more intimidating. You had tires all around, people flipping tires, people like grunting. This was like, I think 17 years ago, where basically there was no such thing as functional fitness. Functional fitness was a very strange concept back then. And so we did that. And I came from a background of track and field. Long ago. I was a sprinter. And so I kind of enjoy this kind of high intensity training. And so when I eventually started doing CrossFit, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. This vibes with me. And then eventually we did that. And me and my friends started. Me and Moses, who is actually now my business partner.
Okay. Innervate.
Innervate, yeah. So we started doing CrossFit together, and then eventually we finished university together. In fact, this is how we started Innervate. Back then, there were quite a few CrossFit gyms already. I would say 10 or 12, and we felt like that you could do with one more. But not just that, we also felt like there was a small gap and catering to a few things, to youth and kids, fitness programs, CrossFit fitness programs, elderly, functional fitness programs, and as well as programs for the disabled. So straight up, we already thought to ourselves that we wanted to be different. We wanted to actually truly make an impact in the community and to be different. We didn't just want to clap hand and yay, that's it, 3, 2, 1, go and get fit.
I started a gym.
Yeah, we wanted to start a business that could actually make a difference.
Could you share more about the name? It's quite interesting. Like, how did the name come about?
Innervate.
Is it like a pun on Inno?
Just sounds nice.
Okay.
Okay. Right. So there were many names we listed out. This just felt like the nicest. Yet at the same time, it also means, and correct me, I do not know if I'm absolutely accurate about this, but it also means that your veins innervate, they connect together.
Okay.
And so that kind of
kind of happens when you
when you exercise, right?
I see.
So
cool.
Kind of tells a story, but don't quote me on that. I'm not sure. I'm not the dictionary there.
No worries. Now, you mentioned earlier that, even before you knew it, you realized that Innervate became a social enterprise. What were some of the challenges that you face, trying to balance that as well as being, a business as a gym?
So for some of our disabled, our elderly, even some of the youth, the underprivileged youth, they get highly subsidized classes, training. They even have free for some of them. And so it was a little bit of a struggle for us. We were like, okay, how do we balance that? A growing business that at the same time, how do we continue growing the business itself? And so that was a little bit of a juggle for us to see like what takes priority and what takes precedence. And eventually what we realized was it's kind of the same thing to us now. It's just so inbuilt in our DNA that to be a successful business is where we are able to make an impact and to be able to at the same time, very honestly, make revenue through that impact. And to see how different avenues where we can do so has been a little bit of our expertise, I suppose, and what we've learned over the years. By the initial phases, it was very, very hard. It was like, okay, I'm trying to help this person. I'm trying to help this group of
Youth,
individuals.
yeah.
At the same time, it's taking my time away from actually, maybe working on some leads and working on the operations on certain things. So it was a little bit of a struggle in the past, but now it's a little bit more like it's the same thing. Like it's very hard to separate both.
Right. And, I think people also often sometimes forget that a social enterprise is not like a charity organization.
Yeah.
Right? It still needs to make money in order to provide, and do what it's doing, right?
Yeah. A lot of people think that social enterprise means charity, right?
Right,
And no, it's not.
it's
Oh my
not.
God, it's not. No, social enterprise is not a charity. Oh my gosh, yeah. So that's a very big misconception. And at the same time, when we started out, we worked together with different agencies, different schools, and when we tell them we are social enterprise, in the past at least, it was very much, how come you're charging me? I'm like,
Because you're a business.
Yeah, exactly. And so now, I'm very thankful because now the world is more informed. And so because of that,
People understand.
Yeah, they understand and they know. In fact, some of them, it's very heartfelt and it's very heartening for us because they see our social mission, they see what we do, and they choose us because of it. And so to me, that's like the biggest win, right? I'm trying to create some social impact through the communities that we've built. And at the same time, people want to be a part of that community very voluntarily.
Now, you work with kids and teenagers, right? Not always easy. How do you sort of like keep things, especially for the youth of today and the kids of today, right? Who are glued to their devices and nothing externally in the environment excites them anymore. I mean, it's different, right? Like, I think in the 90s, we run around, we play. So exercise or physicality was kind of built into our everyday play, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But these days, they don't really leave the house, right? Their playground is their iPads or their TV or their computers.
Yeah.
So how do you kind of like make it fun for them? Like, what do you do to connect with them?
We play on the fact that social media is a thing. And to them, if that's a thing, then use that as a tool.
Right.
To us, use that as a tool to get them to be involved. To get them to like, okay, you know what? You saw this, right? Do you want to be this? And I mean, we don't tell them like, you must be this, but you want to try? Like, okay. And it gets them trying, it gets them hooked, it gets them to realize that, hey, my body feels
Different,
good.
Yeah.
Like, it may not instantaneously look good, but after the workout, after the session, they feel good. Like endorphins rush. They're like, hey, this is not too bad. I want more of that. So that's a start. And then from there, after that, it becomes easier altogether.
Right. Now, going back to a bit of the sedentary lifestyle, like right now, like as someone in the fitness industry for so long, right, what do you think parents can do? I mean, unless they leave the house and, motivate themselves to do it, to come through the, to you, right? But what can parents do, at home to help continue the work that you are also doing?
Very controversial thing. Get a dog.
A dog?
Yes.
Oh, wow, okay. Because you have to walk the dog.
Yes, you want a dog. And generally with a dog, you straight away lead a little bit. I mean, okay, this is as an adult. You straight away live and lead a little bit more of a disciplined life. Dog doesn't care if you are tired. You need to walk me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
all right. Okay.
And by extension, if you can bring the dog out to play as a family, it becomes such a different vibe and environment.
Social
altogether.
Interaction, bonding with the family.
Exactly.
But for those, like for example, for those who maybe can't afford a dog,
I think the easiest way is to do family activities together. And I think that it could be as simple as going on a hike and going outdoors a little bit more, getting them comfortable playing and not to like, oh, let's do a workout together. No. I think just playing together is something so important to get them out and away from their screens and to get them away from the sedentary lifestyle.
right?
Yeah, so focus on play for kids. Like not so much of like, oh, you gotta build this muscle,
gotta
build that
run,
muscle. Yeah, just have fun. I mean, if they gravitate towards that, fantastic, great. But if not, then go out, go to East Coast Park, go for a cycle, go for a walk, go for a run. At the same time, do small challenges and basically make it fun for you and your family to do it. Like for example, weeknights, you can do a push-up challenge. And if you do a push-up challenge, you get a sweet or I don't know, a little treat.
Reward,
a reward. And that way it makes it fun for everyone,
and
the
how
whole
about
family.
Teenagers?
Teenagers, I would say that it's always going to be about culture that they are exposed to,
Right.
and the environment that they are exposed to. So to me, it's always also about whether they can do it together with their friends. It's a very social thing. As much as they're glued to their phone, I
Right.
always say that humans, and by extension, teenagers, all of us,
Yeah,
we're
social-
very social creatures.
yeah.
And so if they can do it together with their friends, if there are activities that they can do together, great. And so perhaps it could be a thing where they need to be planted in an environment where they can do something together with their friends. Or parents can encourage activities like that together for them, with them. It could be signing up for as strange as it is, a competition. Like that's
𝙧𝙤𝙤𝙤𝙤.
yeah, exactly. That's how
Yeah.
𝙧𝙤𝙤𝙤 has really grown, and that's how 𝙧𝙤𝙤𝙤 has pushed a lot of Singaporeans to move.
Because they do it with their friends.
They do it with their
yeah.
friends. No one will do it individually, for a start, at least. I mean, there are people who do it individually, but at least if I'm sedentary, I will do it with my friend. And hey, accountability buddy, right? And then do it together. And so it's the same thing for youth.
Now, touching on teenagers, recently, I think we were also talking about it earlier, the Straits Times, sort of reported that suicide is actually the leading cause among
Yeah.
youth, right? And you work with youth. you
Yeah.
know. How do you actually really think fitness or being active can contribute to someone's mental well-being?
So I think that it's so important because number one, it's helped my mental well-being so much. Many facets. Number one, first thing I can think of is community to me. Like, I am so thankful that I have a close group of friends who work out together with me, whom is also my team.
Right.
So I'm very thankful for that. And at the same time, we check in on each other. There is that social connection. And as I said previously, it's really that. And especially for youth, I mean, that age range is true to 29, right?
10 to 29.
10 to 29. I mean, at the earlier ages, it's even more crucial. But at the later stages, it's equally crucial because for them, they may feel like there is no need to stay connected. Like, I'm just going to work, right? I'm just going through the motion. I'm 8 to 5, 9 to 5, 9
Just
to
do
6.
it and leave.
And like, that's it, So they don't feel like there's a need for social connection. And what we do in the gym, what we do in fitness helps to do that. I don't think that it is the only solution. I think that there are many other avenues for community, but this is definitely one of them.
One way for them to
One
start.
way for them, yeah. And I mean, I would like to think when you put yourself in a group of highly motivated, driven people that may not be in your face, like we may not be like raw, but very subtly motivated. Like, let's go for a run. Why don't we try to do this? It's not overtly aggressive, but subtly, gently motivating. And when you're in an environment like that, you generally get influenced as well.
Right.
to
You
be
are
like-
the 5 people you surround yourself with.
Correct.
Yeah.
And so to me, that's something very important.
When you work with the youth, right? What surprises you most about them?
They are a lot better than what a lot of people think,
Then we give them credit.
than we give them credit for. So for example, some of them come in and we teach them some movements which are, I would think, complex. I won't go into the specifics, but a barbell clean, for example, it's quite a technical movement, all right? And so to them, it's like, okay, I get in and come in, I tell them this is going to be a little bit hard. Some of the grown adults have difficulty doing this, but we'll try, okay? Some of them, they instantaneously get it. And I'm like, this is amazing. And I'm like, okay, let's try to add some weight. Let's try to go a little bit more. And like, wow, you're strong. You are athletic. And to them, they are like, I am? Like, you are. How do you not know this?
Right.
I mean, you are. And some of them, they are like, okay, this is surprising to me.
They
And
don't realize the good in
yeah.
themselves.
Even some of the social workers, they're like, oh, he's athletic. I'm like, yeah, he just did that. Wow, that's amazing.
Right.
And then that's where I will then try to,
Build upon that.
Build upon that. Like, hey, you're really not too bad. Do you want to try coming again? Do you want to try to, see where this brings you and everything like that? And,
Yeah. And for teens, is their focus more on, because they're at an age where they're a bit more vain, right? And we often, hear this thing, when you exercise, you are aiming for, of course, when you look good, fantastic. That's
Yeah.
like the byproduct, right? But, as adults, we understand that. But as for teens, is looking good often their motivation, or do they,
For boys, yes. Yeah. They would be like,
I want
they
this
would call, they
muscle.
call me, "Cher, how do I, get bigger bicep?" I'm like, oh gosh, okay, here we
Okay.
go. But yes, it's a thing for them. Not the biggest, because we try to steer the conversation to
Away from that.
looks to more of capacity,
yeah.
what they can do more than how they look. Yeah, like, can you do this? Yeah, you can do this, great.
Right.
Because looks is a very subjective thing. At the same time, if we all do the same weight and could do the same thing together and achieve the same results, then fantastic. There's something to celebrate. Celebrate that instead of how you look.
Yeah, especially for teens, because then they start comparing with each other. and
Exactly.
stuff like that.
And so if they're comparing the right thing, that's fantastic. Yeah.
Right. You know, now we go to the more cuter generation, not the kids, but the seniors.
Seniors,
right?
yeah.
So you run a program called, CrossFit Silvers,
Yes.
right? And you also have adaptive CrossFit for
Yes.
people with disabilities. But let's talk about CrossFit Silvers first,
Yes.
right? How did that really, come about? I
Wow.
mean, I don't know, but I don't think I've come across a gym where, they specially have programs for elderly. And
Yeah.
elderly, I know that because my parents are elderly. To get them to even go down for a walk is a nightmare.
Yeah.
It's like you have to nag and nag and nag, and then finally they do it, right? So how do you...
Always like that, right?
Oh my God.
The parents will never listen to the kids. They need to listen to someone else.
They listen to the
them.
doctors, but they never listen to the children.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our Silvers program, and I think I'm very, 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 very thankful that, it's grown beyond the walls of the gym to work with the active aging centers. Firstly, Singapore is an aging population,
Yes,
a
we
massively
are.
aging population,
We are.
right?
Pioneer and Murdoch.
Yeah, I mean, the stats speak for itself. I think by 2030, a third of Singaporeans will be above 65.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
That's a lot of people. A third or a
people.
quarter. Once again, don't quote me. This
Yeah,
is
yeah.
please say it. But something along those lines,
Right,
right? And I think that's scary in itself. And so there's so much we need to do now to make sure that we are ready for that period, because the more people we have who are frail and not able to move, then, for example, not able to get off a chair, it's so scary.
Right.
So how it started years ago was when we realized that, hey, there's a gap, right? And we wanted to start. And so we started small. Got our relatives like, hey, you want to try this CrossFit program? But now, current day, there are many gyms which offer fitness programs for elderly. So I'm very
Right.
thankful for that. Like, please, all these gyms out there, keep it going. I mean, you need more gyms that order programs for elderly.
Right, because there's so many of
There's
them.
so many of us, right? Like, there's millions of people in Singapore who are going to be above 65. But I would like to think that we are one of the first few who did a functional fitness program for elderly that focuses very much on improving the quality of life, like tangibly improving the functional movement in a practical sense. So some of them, they weren't able to get off the floor.
Which is actually quite common, I
Quite
think,
common.
for elderly. They don't, first and foremost, they don't want to sit on the floor because they know they can't
They
get
get
back
up. Yeah. And so it's a real thing, because fall prevention, right? Or post-fall, what are they going to do about it? And so that's what we do. That's one of the basic things.
Right.
How do you get off the floor? Now, most of our Silvers, they do burpees to the
What?
floor. So now they're like, okay, they're able to move. So like in my head, I'm like, I'm not going to really worry if you ever fall in future.
Right.
You could fall. I mean, you could slip. Everyone slips, right?
Right.
And can you get off the floor? Now they can. And to me, that's like one of the impressive things that we try to do, and we try to encourage our Silvers to do. And so that idea of improving the quality of life and in preventing all these frail accidents from happening, or making sure that they're able to recover from it, was the onset of our program altogether.
Right.
And from there, we grew the community.
And speaking of the silver generation, they grew up in kampongs, and they
Yeah.
grew up completely opposite of the generations today, right? They grew up with people, they grew up with neighbors, they had neighbors whose doors were open, they
Yeah.
are so used to communicating and
Exactly.
and they love being social butterflies, right?
Yeah.
So I think that, doing these programs is the perfect avenue for them. But when they first come into this, because, fitness is obviously not the top of their mind, right? What are some, challenges like you face, like just like teens, right?
Yeah.
To get them to do certain things, because elderly can be, because they are adults, as
Yeah.
cute as they are, they are
Yeah.
adults. So they can say, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah, and they're usually very reserved as well. Some of them, when they step into the doors, their first thing is usually, I don't know, I'm not very fit.
Or as a disclaimer.
Now, disclaimer, I'm not very fit. And I will tell them, don't worry. That's why I really love our silver community, because they are the ones who come up to them and, don't worry, I'm not very fit. And then they will openly say, don't worry, when I started, I couldn't get off the floor, so you're not expected to. Or like basically
They motivate each other.
other. And it's very encouraging to see that. And so when they walk in through the doors, of course, our coaches greet them. Hey, how's it going? Don't worry, this is what's going to happen. Then the silver community, they'll just come over and
Rally
welcome.
together.
Yeah, they'll always take a picture together. Like, it's very hard to not feel
Welcome.
whenever you step into the gym for the silvers class.
Right.
That to me is something very, very special.
And I think a lot of us, like especially those in the like middle age group, like maybe say late 30s and above or 40s and above, right? I mean, they have elderly parents. How can one, sort of just same thing with the kids and the teenagers, right? From a fitness perspective, right? What is it that they can do to sort of, push them towards that? Because you're absolutely right. I think loneliness can be a big thing for them, and joining a gym, especially after they retire.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Once they retire, they're so used to having this routine, and then the children are not there, grandchildren are at school. So what can children do to sort of motivate the parents? Hey mom, hey dad, go and do this, like get active.
Okay, so this is a plug for what we do as a country, and I think it's brilliant because I think we were the few countries that does this. We set up active aging centers all around Singapore, and in all of these active aging centers, there are so many programs, ridiculous amounts of programs that all these seniors can be a part of. 55 and above, if I'm not wrong, you can be a part of their membership already. And they're planted everywhere. We've got like 300 centers all around Singapore, governed by, if I'm not wrong, 𝙭𝙭. And so because of that, Active Silvers, which is the digital program that we have, and as well as the in-person program, we actually do programs at active aging centers too. So we teach CrossFit to all these seniors too. Of course, at a intensity and scale that is
suitable
much
for
lesser.
them.
Yes, it's much more suitable for them. But still, we focus on the same functional movement, on how to improve their quality of life. That is still the backbone of what we do and DNA of what we do. And so I always say that for a lot of the young adults or the adults out there who want to encourage their parents to be a part of this, is to follow them to the active aging center. Just follow them first, get them to try a program or two, and then before you know it, they are embedded in a community. Because they have not just fitness programs, by the way, cooking classes, excursions.
So many things they can try.
And I'm like, wow, this is really cool. And it's interesting because I go and ask different countries around our region, like, hey, do you guys have this? Like, no, nothing like that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean,
wow.
Especially something that is sponsored and supported so heavily by the government. Yeah, if not, like, I mean, other countries is nursing homes, right? Or this kind of silver homes, which are very private in nature. But anyone can be a part of this.
Now, the other one that you guys work on is adaptive CrossFit.
Yes.
Could you tell us a little bit?
So adaptives are our programs for the disabled, physically disabled and special needs too. Yeah, so we do a bunch of programs together with them. We work together with the wheelchair rugby, and that is housed over at our Amplify space. And we also have differently able individuals, so visually impaired, hearing impaired. We have those with neuromuscular issues as well. And so at the end of the day, once again, the backbone of what we do is to make sure that we create and get them to do functional movement that improves their quality of life. And so can they squat? Can they get off a chair? Can they do things? So for example, let's just say someone who has a lower limb impairment, can they get off the floor onto, say, their wheelchair?
Right.
To be able to do that is a transfer, we call it. To be able to do that is a skill in itself. But at the same time, for them, if they are able to do that, how much would their quality of life improve?
Right.
So, it's difference in scale and measure, but the idea and heart of it is really the same. So, if you may, I could start from, the disabled, getting from floor to the chair to the silver, getting from the floor standing to athletic high jumper, getting from the floor and jumping to as high as you can. The heart of the movement is the same. And that's what we try to do.
Now, how do you also, as we come to a close, how do you envision the future of inclusive fitness, so to speak? Maybe in the next 2-3 years, even.
I guess I hope that Innervate can be a leading facility that trains other people to create inclusive fitness programs, to be able to reach beyond the walls even more, to be able to help these active aging centers even more, and to continue growing the communities within our spaces of both Amplify and Innervate. I think that to me is very, very important to be able to see that continue growing even like 20 years from now. So some of our guys, they are like
89 years old now.
89, you know, like eventually at that age, and it'd be cool. I mean, there will come a day where they eventually get old enough to say that,
okay, I can't do this.
I can't do it. And that's okay. And so that's the goal for Innervate and Amplify and Active Silvers. All these things that we try to do. For the fitness scene in Singapore, I really hope that every gym starts to truly embrace this inclusive culture. And I think that it is so important because they think that it's a lot of effort, but in the long run, it pays off in all aspects. Their heart, their well-being as gyms, their culture, it becomes something that they
a
can...
community.
Yeah, like they can really, really fall back on. So yeah, more inclusive spaces that can truly be accessed by the disabled, the elderly. Because if it's, 10 years down the road and we don't have more gyms offering elderly fitness programs, we're in trouble.
Right. Okay. And if you could, before we end it, the last question would be, if you have one advice for Singaporeans to get up and moving, what would that be?
Advice to all Singaporeans is to find someone and find something that you can do to have fun. At the same time, to keep moving. So together, find someone, have fun, keep moving.
Yay! And to our listeners, thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of Open House. Remember, for every question that you have, we have a guest out there with the answers. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might benefit from today's conversation. Follow us on our socials for more updates. Until next time.